Omicron.
The Omicron variant.
Omicron.
The Lambda variant.
The Mu variant.
That this Delta variant.
We always knew that the day was going to come when there was going to be another variant. A COVID variant is when the virus changes ever so slightly from the original one. To work out how variants happen, you have to look at how viruses replicate in our system. So a virus on its own cannot replicate. It has to use our cells and our software in our cells for it to divide and replicate, and then basically burst the cell that it infected and go and infect other people. So during that process, it's not perfect. In an ideal world, the virus would replicate and it would be exactly the same every single time it replicated, but that doesn't happen. There can be small changes that happen in that process, small mistakes, and that's where a mutation comes from. In general, because viruses want to survive, there is no benefit from the host or the human dying. So when there is a mutation, it's more likely to be more transmissible, but less serious or less severe to the host. But it's a completely random process. So when these mistakes happen in the replication process in the cell, there's no control over it. It can either be more serious, less serious, or just the same as it was before. What you've got to be careful of is saying that this can never happen, because it has happened before, and it's happened quite recently with Ebola in 2016. So it had a variant which was a lot more deadly than the original. So we know that Omicron is quite different from the original alpha strain of the virus. So there are over 40 mutations on the spike protein. Because it's changed so much from the original, it was a huge concern that we thought that the vaccines wouldn't do anything against this strain. We've found the early data is actually pretty good. So the data coming out of Israel shows that if you've had 3 doses of Pfizer vaccine, that you've got a 70% less risk of developing symptomatic infection. The overwhelming consensus is just now that a third dose and a booster dose within about 5 or 6 months of you having your second dose is going to give you a lot of protection. It's really just a term that allows the World Health Organization to allocate resources to investigate it. So when we know that Delta is going to be replaced by Omicron, you have to start doing the research into that and say, right, are our vaccines going to work? How many people are going to end up in hospital? Is this more deadly or less deadly? And that is all triggered by the WHO saying that this is a variant of concern. We know that the more this virus replicates, the more chance it has of becoming a new variant. There's always going to be the potential for a mutation in those places where there's just uncontrolled virus spread. The whole world has to come together and do a real push for mass vaccinations, not just in first world countries. We have to look after the countries that haven't got the capabilities or the resources to give out the vaccine. It's looking more and more likely that COVID will probably become endemic in our society, which means that it's probably never really going to fully go away. So there will come a time where there'll be a variant that, again, might be like the flu. So it will be a seasonal thing, and we'll have to vaccinate people who are at high risk.